I'm here from Barnsley. It's stretching it to say it's the suburbs of London. But here's a favourite of mine, and I think of many people, because they always ask me for this poem, so I put it into the anthology. And for those musicians amongst us, put your hand up if you're a musician amongst us. Right, you may or you may not understand the poem, but you'll get the gist. It's called The Rudiments of Musical Knowledge. I was all a quaver as he waltzed me around. Then he changed the tempo and we tangoed to the sound. It only took a minuet. His flat was very small, and I bowed out to rallentando before the curtain call. The phrase he used was simple, staccato and quite bass, and I gathered from the diatonic look upon his face that I'd better allegretto before he made me stay to repeat from the beginning in some other rhythmic way. I coda stayed, I coda, but I jived off to the bar and composed myself a moment with an iced tonic sulfur. Transposed, I felt much better and called a metronome, but as I fumbled for my key, I heard his dulcet tone. He said, "Don't worry, I'll be brief." And then he paused to rest. He climbed the stairs in double time and had to beat his chest. The moment was chromatic, but his timing was just right. And when he said, "Let's tie the dots," I had to play by sight. My key became quite minor as I stood atop the stair, and I accidentally dropped it. Not altogether fair, because he had to crotch it down. And whilst on bended knee, I answered ad libitum, yes, in perfect harmony. The change in me was major. My signature became an ornamental sounding sharp, quite an augmented name. We learned the rudiments quite fast. Duets were slightly naughty. He trilled me then and trills me now. Although he's well past 40. That was dedicated, by the way, to my lovely husband, David. So, on a similar theme, I also play the cello from time to time. When I think there's nobody listening here. Cello practice. Don't put me in the cellar to play my old cello. I know I'm a bit rusty and in need of a new bow, but I'm getting better all the time, and I know the sound can be much more acceptable when not played underground. Don't put me in the cellar to play my old cello. It's very dank and dark in there. The ceiling's very low, and yes, it mutes the sound a bit. But I'm nearly ready to perform a little Mozart if I take it steady. Don't put me in the cellar to play my old cello. You'll find the rats and mice don't like it. They'll just up and go. There'll be an exodus of vermin escaping my scales. Be under no illusion, E flat never seems to fail. Don't put me in the cellar to play my old cello. Aunt Martha's cat is buried there. I'm not supposed to know, but I inadvertently got my spike stuck in the floor. And when I pulled it out, it was covered in cat fur. Don't put me in the cellar to play my old cello. Put me in the living room so that when I'm in full flow, the neighbours will be entertained and wonder who it is. And one day, they might even think I'm Stephen Isserlis. David and I, in 1992, set off on an adventure with backpacks and a little two-man tent. And we ended up in Crete. And there we stayed for 20 years, more or less, off and on. This poem is one of the first experiences when we got to the edge of the Mediterranean. It had been a long way by bus from London and ferry, and we were feeling a bit nonplussed. And life in a cup of oats emerged. What shall we make of the rest of our lives? Porridge, you said. It was a strange reply there on the edge of reason, 2,000 miles from home, the sea salt chapping our lips. You slipped your arm around my waist and whispered, "It will taste like rubies shipped from India, emeralds from the mines of Cleopatra, Inca gold from Machu Picchu, and it will have a glazed top of pure honey dripped from the wooden spoon my grandmother passed down." I thought you'd lost the plot, my old man, talking of gruel, as though it were a mix of jewels slopped into a breakfast bowl. But your oats glistened with Eastern promise, the bold excitement of a new beginning. And now I'm going to read one of Alan Smith's poems. Find it. The late Alan Smith. I never met Alan, but many, many times I was able to critique his poems and vice versa. And this particular one, is a very passionate poem. It's called To Kathleen, and I believe Kathleen was his wife. Is that right, Alan? Yeah. I believe so. Yeah. And it's that first heartthrob adventure of love when a shy man, in those days, I suppose, not quite the same as today when they just say, do you go, lass, and you're off. This is chivalry, Anyway, this is his passion. To Kathleen. This earth can yield no love so proud, no warmer music better played, no finer maze of heavenly bliss, no greater thrill of joyous pain than this never-ending panoply of carefree, gilded days in which my heart is dancing free, yet a captive heart in many ways. Should I indeed cry out my love to prove to you my choice is made, to shout the very thoughts which lie inside and float them on a worldly tide? But shyness bears me breathless, entangles me, and clefted-tongued I find it hard to say the very things which make my heart beat faster every day. Mankind was never meant to hide a love like this, but words are only man-made too. So how could spoken words alone bring home to you the message of my inner soul? I only hope, though speech I lose, perhaps this ring and fumbled phrase will prove to you my love is real and lift the haze. Aww. That's the end of our